Alright, now we're set to go. Hey, fair warning, I have zero desire to edit these into any kind of serious video. These are just commentaries where I talk into a microphone. Whatever you see in the background is what you're gonna get. I do think having Mirko's giant ass in the background is probably a bit of a distraction. Let's change that to something else. So yeah, welcome to the first of two follow-up videos to my hot takes video that was on my main channel. And like I said in that video, there were a couple of hot takes that I wanted to cover in the original video, but they ended up exploding and blooming into scripts of their own. It didn't really feel appropriate throwing 10-minute plus length responses to a single take into that video. I also don't want to spam my main channel with a bunch of random commentaries because that's not really what people expect from me. So we're gonna have a couple of separate videos on this channel, and you're just gonna listen to my grating awful voice because that's what, sure. Let's just do it. The first one I want to cover is a comment that Dane left on my Twitter post for asking for the hot takes. So Dane's comment was, Valve is 100% to blame for any bad cosmetics and maps added to Team Fortress 2. They hold all the power. The workshop is a wide spectrum of talent, artistic integrity, and gameplay awareness. It's Valve's responsibility to sort through it and choose the appropriate content. I mean, yeah, listen, Dane, you're 100% correct, dude. Inside of an ideal world, the perfect world, Valve would still be maintaining Team Fortress 2 in every capacity. They would still be curating content. They would still be putting out updates. But we're not inside of that perfect world. Valve, as the grounding authority on everything, is just gone. They've been gone for years. And as we all know, without some kind of grounding authority, which in this case should be Valve, people will exploit the vacuum. It's why the game is in such a miserable state right now. I mean, just go try playing casual. You can't. Valve doesn't really seem to care. They don't care. They don't care about TF2 anymore. And again, they haven't for years. They don't curate content, let alone perform the bare minimum level of maintenance required to keep the game functional. And Valve really doesn't seem to budge on anything. And it doesn't seem like we can make them take responsibility for anything that they should be responsible for, even though they should. I mean, for example, just look at Save TF2. We had hundreds of thousands of people tweeting and emailing and speaking about the neglect of TF2, at least indirectly with the weird Hugbox thing that it was. And this was on a global scale. Hundreds of thousands of people. It was insane. And what did we get? One tweet. We got one tweet and nothing changed. The game is still in a miserable state. That, at least to me, showed us that players directly taking up their concerns with Valve about anything, even the bare bones functionality of the game, let alone content selections, just really doesn't seem to work. We've tried this, and as I've said in my video on the main channel, I think we should keep trying because, hey, who knows, eventually we could get through to somebody. Hold that thought in mind, we'll get back to that. But anyways, as it's stood for years now, Valve doesn't address TF2's biggest problems or any of their own shortcomings. So obviously, the next step is for us as the players to do something, for us to go to the source, somewhere where we can make our own influential change. You know, some examples being casual mode is a hot mess, so we make our own TF2 servers. Cheaters are a problem, so we have people inside the community that have developed their own anti-cheat. And perhaps a lesser example, Man vs. Machine hasn't been updated since 2013 with new missions or anything like that, so people make entirely new campaigns on their own. And for a good while, from 2018 to 2021, when we started getting crappier hats, broken and buggy maps, and terrible, terrible skins, people started speaking out, including myself. Content quality took a nosedive, so we fell back to the system that was built with the specific intention for players to influence what content is accepted into TF2. And that's the Community Workshop. The Workshop is a system designed for players to give their opinions, give their feedback, and rate content made specifically for the game directly to those who make it. Uploading content to the Workshop is done so with the specific intention of interacting with this system, so that content has a chance of being chosen by the players, critiqued by the players, curated by Valve, and then accepted into the game for money. Valve, of course, having the final say. That's how it's been since day one. Hell, the workshop was originally made specifically for TF2, and then it was so successful it got adopted for other games. So, if you post something into the system, don't be surprised if people use it for its intended purpose, no matter how constructive or negative comments can get. Welcome to the internet. Anyways, all of that said, in the case of the TF2 workshop and its content, curation from Valve became absolutely absent. From 2018 to 2021, content selections were arbitrary, ham-fisted, completely random. Ham-fisted and random in terms of quality and thematic adherence to the game. Hats with ratings as low as 50% were put into TF2. We as the players, the intended middlemen, were no longer relevant in this system. I mean, assuming we were ever relevant to begin with, and there is some evidence that points towards that we were never relevant. But regardless, workshoppers had less and less incentive to listen to player feedback, and they focused harder on only what Valve seemed to pick, despite any pre-established quality standards or player expectations from years prior. They followed trends, adhering to mediocre, low quality, and oftentimes festive or tacky content, which violated most player expectations. Because this is a fact, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. Most TF2 players, not 51%, but an extreme majority of players, young and old, typically prefer content like this and not this. They prefer content that, at the very least, loosely adheres stylistically and thematically with TF2. That's what people expect. That is the expectation, the pre-established standard. And when money is the primary incentive, exploitative workshoppers will only make what Valve seems to pick, what Valve wants, and they will ignore the game and the players they're supposedly making items for, all right? That's what kicked all of this off a couple years ago for me. That's when I fucking just threw my hands up, I was done, I was fed up, so I started speaking out about it. So back inside of the ideal world, right? Valve would still be enforcing responsibility as the grounding authority. They would be reinforcing the creation of quality content that the majority of players enjoy, adhering to the pre-established standards and expectations set years prior. And what does that mean? That means more player engagement, which means more revenue for both Valve and the workshoppers. Everyone wins. That's the correct way of handling the system. But now that Valve doesn't do that, people exploit the neglected system for their own benefit and ignore all the people it was originally made for, the players. Ultimately, Valve may pick the content and, of course, have the final say, but workshoppers make the content. Now that the system is neglected and open for exploitation, both Valve and those who exploit it hold some level of responsibility. Neither party is guilt-free, and neither party shoulders all of the guilt. Now, of course, one could say, well, workshoppers technically aren't doing anything wrong. They're just making what they want to make inside of an open system. They're just being creative artists, which is the angle Dane seems to take. How dare I question the creation of their creative works? How dare I shit all over their love for the game? They love the game just as much as you do. Yeah, the love for the game that's glistening around these lovely plastic ornaments and oozing from the delicate folds of fucking cardboard and crayon scribble. I mean, frankly, I don't see the love in these. Anyways, at face value, yeah, sure, it's a valid retort to say that people are just making what they want to make. Very obviously, making items takes creative prowess. You have to be an artist and carry all of the technical knowledge of item creation with you. It is skilled labor. But people fail to realize, and this is the biggest oversight that I think many people hold, including workshoppers, the workshop is not your personal art gallery. It's also not a modding website. It's also not your own portfolio. You're making items for a specific video game, and a heavily stylized one at that, to be included within the game as official editions. Creators should strive to make items within TF2's thematic restrictions and stylistic bounds, of the utmost quality, not because that's what I think they should do, but because that's what's expected of them. That's what being an artistic content developer is, working within the bounds of a medium to create something that people will enjoy, and that medium is Team Fortress 2. And when that medium is violated, that is the reason why people despise cosmetics like these and prefer cosmetics like these. This is what they expect and what they enjoy. and not this crap. A very small minority stomach this garbage. And you know what? People make jokes about me making food analogies, but here's a better analogy for you. This same logic applies to a bad chef working at a restaurant. Let's say you got a crap chef who's making crap food. We don't put all of the blame on the restaurant owner when we're presented with charcoal for a meal. We immediately blame the chef for fucking up because he's bad at his job, especially if that restaurant had long since been known for serving quality food. That was the customer expectation, and it was violated. But we also blame the restaurant owner for hiring that chef and letting his antics slide. That's his boss. He allows for him to keep making terrible food. But that doesn't absolve the chef of all responsibility, nor does it excuse him for being terrible at his job, and, of course, not meeting the expectations of the patrons. And, hey, if things don't improve on either end, then people will stop coming to that restaurant. And guess who we have the most access to? By intention. The chef. He's right there, cooking our food right now. So we tell them that they did a bad job and that they should do better. And in my opinion, if Valve doesn't uphold any quality standards, then the next obvious step would be for the community to do so. The producers of all content in this game, as intended from the start of the workshop. I personally think that's a statement that most people would agree with. And that's all I've stood for since I started talking about the workshop. And since everyone started speaking out about this, not just me, and placing responsibility on both Valve and the workshop, speaking with their mouths, speaking with their wallets, like I've been saying, guess what happened? Content selections have vastly improved over the past 2 years. Someone is listening, and it seems, at least partially, the workshoppers are. I've had countless workshoppers come to me in my messages and what have you, even some of my most vocal critics personally about hats and war paints, unusual effects, and even maps, saying thank you for kicking them in the dick and encouraging them to do better, despite me being a hard ass about it. Because sometimes you need to be a little tough. You gotta give out a little bit of tough love to get the crust off people's eyes. Sometimes you need to point out that someone is intentionally burning the food because no one is telling them to stop. You need to hold them responsible for not adhering to the quality of work that is expected of them. And another thing, this is a major point of annoyance from me. I find it amazingly hypocritical that many people who push back against my stance on this are also very fucking keen on saying that the community is the future of this game. But as soon as I point out that all new content comes from the community, therefore you'd think that creators should have the responsibility to uphold themselves to the expected higher standards, everyone just throws their hands up and says, nope, it's all Valve's fault, nothing we can do, stop harassing artists. Now to me, that's some fucking bullshit. And now, yeah, the workshop makes good stuff. They have for years, and Valve ignores most of it in favor of crap. Lord knows why. But workshoppers also upload the crap with intention, so they can get something into the game, because a lot of them use the workshop as their meal ticket, so naturally they're gonna make whatever Valve picks. It is discouraging, yes, to have your hard work ignored. It's a problem that many workshoppers have addressed. Even the bigger names in the scene have acknowledged this. But when the mappers got fed up with the vicious cycle of low-quality, tacky holiday updates and Valve ignoring their other work, they collectively wrote and signed a letter to Valve asking them to cut this shit out. And, lucky for them, Valve was already planning a summer update, so it worked out in their favor. This group of workshoppers knew that Valve was more likely to listen to them than the general player base because they make their moneymakers. They have the direct line. That little letter from a group of mappers produced a greater response from Valve than all of the players did during Save TF2. That is fucking shocking. But you know what? We haven't seen a single shred of collective action from workshop groups like the Emporium against these same problems they apparently have such huge issues with. They too have a direct line to Valve. They have Eric Smith's ear. I know workshoppers with accepted items that can get a response from him within a day via email. But they say nothing. They do nothing. Because ultimately, what incentive do they have if they get paid anyways for exploiting the status quo, the neglected system that always works in their favor, while the rest of us, the players, are ignored. Should we not place responsibility on those who exploit and do nothing about the neglected system they apparently care so much for? Apparently I'm a monster in the eyes of many for even saying yes. I love this game. I just want better content. I don't care who it comes from. And all of this, me talking about it, everyone making a big stink about it, it seems to be working. So guess what? We're gonna keep doing it. Beyond that, this conversation gets mired in subjectivity. For example, I don't think a shitty gumball machine hat is appropriate for TF2, but of course someone out there is going to have a goddamn conniption fit because I said no thanks. Not interested. If the past 2 years talking about this shit has shown me anything, it's that it's fucking amazing how much power the word no holds over people.